Good afternoon, Pointers, and welcome back to the Sports Hub. I'm Will Haroldson. Alongside me today is Ashton Parker. We had an eventful weekend with the Pointers football team and volleyball teams both in action, and the Packers and Badgers, big wins this weekend. All this and more when we come back. Pointers football team headed up to Menominee to take on UW Stout this past Saturday, with revenge on their minds. The game started out as a highly contested first half with both teams playing solid defense. With the team down 30-0 in the fourth quarter, Coach Greg Breitbach decided to switch it up at the quarterback position, putting sophomore Trey Schrader into the offense. Schrader was the only bright spot for the Pointers offense that entire day, where he went 15 for 20 with 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ultimately, the Pointers lost 37-12. However, Schrader's performance has the Pointer fans something to look forward to in the future. So Ashton, the Pointers have now lost 4 in a row after the 2-0 start. What has to happen to get back in the win column? Because right now it feels like there's a sense of hopelessness on their team.
Yeah, I have to agree. There's not much positive stuff going on with the Pointers football team right now. Of course, like you said, Trey Schrader had a pretty solid game actually when he got put in. But in terms of everything else, ever since those first 2 weeks, it's been rough. They haven't won a conference game. They have only won out of conference. And even that, technically, our first UW Stout wasn't an out of conference game, so we're still not perfect in that regard. And I think, honestly, what the biggest thing is our defense. Most of our opponents are known for having great offensive. UW Stout is known for having a great passing offense, and we found that out in the first week as well. They scored, how many points was it again that day? I think it was around they had 45 points that game.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
And then they had 37 today. So the defense needs to figure something out. I think if Trey Schrader's in the offense can do something. Now, how much is that on the fact that, UW Stout put in their lesser guys too? Because, they were up, like 30 points? Like they knew the game was theirs, so they just threw it. I don't know how much of that was that and not Trey Schrader, but if that Stout defense was still out there in the fourth quarter while Trey was out there, I do agree. I think the Pointers and Pointers fans have a lot to look forward to.
No, without question. And I remember on the second touchdown that the Pointers scored was about a 37-yard touchdown pass from Trey Schrader to Joe Aguilera. So, I mean, there's still some electricity that can come from that offense. I think something that definitely needs to happen is, once you lose 4 straight in any game or any sport, you really kind of have to sit down with the team together and just kind of do some soul searching and say, okay, guys, where are we all at? This is a tough loss. We were competitive in the first half. They were only down 10-0 at halftime, and they played them much better in the first half, and then just got blown off the map in the second half. So really, we talk about it every week. It seems like, okay, this is what they need to do to win, but ultimately, I think your point about the defense is correct, because we talked about, okay, Max Hero needs to play well, and in one game he did play well and they still lost. And this past game he didn't play terrible. I don't think he turned the ball over at all. But from watching it, they really didn't take shots and spread down the field. So really the offense wasn't really as dynamic as maybe when Trey Schrader got out there. He was just electric to end the game. 15 for 20 in anything is good. I know it may have been against lesser competition with, second stringers in the Stout team, but still, going 15 for 20 is something to be proud of.
Yeah, no, I agree. 15 for 20 is nothing to scoff at, even if it's a lesser defense. That's still incredible. That's accurate. They're moving the ball down very. That was all in the fourth quarter. That's not a lot of time you have there. So I agree. I do think the Pointers have something to look forward to. But I think just ultimately it's the defense. And if anything, it's the running defense that needs to step things
Absolutely.
up. The Stout had 3 rushing touchdowns that game. You can't have that happen. No. Even if they're both rushing and passing game is really good, you just need to figure something out in terms of...
Take one thing away.
Exactly, yeah. You can't have both or else you're screwed.
Right. It's the kind of the scenario where your coach says, okay, I'm not going to let this guy beat me. If they're going to beat us, they're going to have to do something else to beat us,
Exactly, yeah. I agree.
So it's definitely been a rough stretch of games, that's for sure. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the volleyball team heads into the final stretch of the regular season. We'll tell you what you need to do to be poised for a postseason run. All this when we come back.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back to the Sports Hub. The Pointers volleyball team are 20-5 and currently tied for third place in the WIAC conference. With only 2 conference games left in the season, the Pointers need to win out and have a little help if they want to win the conference. Obviously, they want to win the conference, but what the Pointers really have to get ready for is positioning for a postseason run. So what do they have to do to get ready for that postseason push?
So I think what they have to do is just maintain that strong form, that strong killing offense that they have had recently. Of course, we've got to talk about a lot because it's a big part of the season. They had that huge winning streak earlier in the season, and they've fallen off a little bit, losing to Whitewater and having a little bit of a rough stretch. But overall, it's still a very, very successful season. And we do have postseason hopes. We do have a postseason to look forward to, even if we don't win the conference. Now, of course, we want to win the conference.
Yeah.
We want to be the best. And we have the opportunity to do that because we do play lacrosse, who, if I'm correct, is leading the conference. That's our second to last game of the season, I think. So it's very possible for us to do that. But I think what they need to focus on is just maintaining that form that they have had throughout the season and keeping that strong form for the postseason if you win the conference or not. Of course, if you don't win the conference, it's a bummer. But you have a postseason to look forward to and where pretty much everything is out the window. Everybody's at a fair game. Everything is fair game, and everybody maybe doesn't have an equal chance, but they at least have a chance to win.
I like to think of the scenario as anybody in any game can be beaten at any night as long as you prepare, right? And I think your point to, if you win the conference, great, right? If you win out and you just so happen to win the conference, that's fantastic. But I think at this point, they're starting to kind of have that in the back of their mind, and they're like, okay, we may not be able to win the conference, but we need to have a good win streak going, because if you have momentum going to the end of the season, that'll take you places. But if you have a losing streak, just ask the Milwaukee Brewers what happens. They had a losing streak and they had nothing going in the postseason. So momentum is important. You need to have that momentum.
Yeah, very important.
And in reality, I was at the cancer awareness match, and they played well enough to compete with Whitewater, which obviously you want to win. But every single they did end up losing 3-0 in the matches, but every single match they were competitive in. And really, you don't want to say, oh, it's great that they lost, but it's good to show that they can hang up there with the number 9 ranked team in the country, right?
True, that's very true. Rankings are coming out soon, and I'm expecting Whitewater to stay in that top 10 rank because they're a fantastic sports school. Their volleyball team is absolutely incredible, and there's a reason why they're up there. But the Stevens Point team is also very, very, very good. And the fact that they're able to hang with these tough schools really should get us excited for the postseason because it shows that we have a chance to beat them.
Without question. I like there's scenarios where you'll play teams from your conference in the postseason that you haven't played, that you played and lost to all throughout the regular season, and then you get that revenge factor, and you just really don't. There's like a mystery to the postseason almost. You never know really what's going to happen.
That's very true.
Because you may have the best team win all the way, or you may have the best team lose in the first round. You just never know. That's what's exciting about March Madness playoffs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think your point of it's something that definitely it's getting the school excited about here in Stevens Point is definitely true, because just as the fans, the atmosphere as well, I was in there, it's great. Students are into it. Obviously the parents and fans of the Pointers are into it. So it's just a great time to be a fan of the Pointers volleyball team.
Yeah, no, that sounds really fun actually. You know, being in that area, being at a school where the fans, the students are excited to have you, and having that excitement is what makes sporting events amazing. Like, let's look at the Milwaukee Bucks postseason finals run. You know, you had the Deer District, an absolutely revolutionary space outside of the Pfizer Forum that, you know, in finals game 6 when they won, there was like supposedly 60,000 fans there, but there was probably close to like 100,000 that wasn't in attendance. So it's that having that excitement for postseason that really brings that new edge to what makes a postseason extremely exciting and fun.
And think about the impact that fans really have. I mean,
It's
after
true.
a year of no fans last year and games getting canceled all around the season. I mean, it's great to have fans back in the stands for any sport.
No,
in general.
I agree.
I thought that your point about the atmosphere is a really good point. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the Wisconsin Badgers football team was able to win 2 in a row and put themselves back in the Big Ten West race. It's almost impossible to prepare for that triple option offense. And so how were the Badgers able to be successful against that tough running offense?
Well, I think with the Badgers, you know, the Badgers have been relatively disappointing this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're 3-3, they're 500, but I think when we were coming into this season, we've been expecting more out of them. You know, we've known that Wisconsin's always been a great school for football. We've had such great players like Jonathan Taylor, Russell Wilson come from this school. So we expect a lot from them. And to be in the Big Ten, one of the most competitive divisions in all of college football and hell, even college sports, is incredible. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's also nerve-wracking as a fan because, you know, you have all these great competition, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, you know, being able to beat Illinois is great. We shut them out. That was amazing. A conference opponent, and, you know, even though Illinois is not the greatest, we were able to beat them. But I really think this Army win is really what's going to shoot up the confidence boost that they really need. I felt like after the Notre Dame and the Michigan loss, they just felt depleted. It was rough to watch. They felt like they had nothing left.
Right, and you know, something that's been shocking as you look at statistics throughout all of college football is the number 1 rushing defense in the entire nation is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They're a top 5 overall defense. So how in the world do you have a top 5 overall defense and you're 500? Now, that being said, I think it's crazy to imagine that after a 1-3 start, they're now 3-3, and if they win out, they can win the Big Ten West. That just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we definitely saw a few good things on offense. Braylon Allen is definitely coming out as a nice back to help out Ches Malusi, but I think early in the game, Graham Mertz was throwing the ball pretty well. He was able to see the defense. He didn't end the game that great, but what's important is he didn't throw an interception. I think in every game that Graham Mertz throws an interception, they lose.
That's fair.
And, you know, that's obviously the key for the offense. And I think what's difficult when you have a losing streak the way the Badgers did, we talked about it earlier in the football team, they have to do soul searching. And I think probably what they came together as a team, and they said, we're a defensive team. We're going to come out, we're going to punch you in the mouth on defense, and then we're going to give it to our offense and try to run it down your throat.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it seemed to have worked. Like, you know, you mentioned before, like, how are you a 5th-ranked rushing defense and you're under 500, or you are 500? And I think it always has to do with the offense, because the offense for the Badgers with Graham Mertz on the hand isn't the greatest. You know, there are worse. We've had worse offenses, but it's really nothing too spectacular. And I think if we focus on mainly just running the ball, and then focus on small ball, focus on just running it, burning down the clock, trying to get some points, but mainly just focus on that defense. Try and have these low scoring games, because if we're taking a look at these, if we're taking a look at the scores right now for the Badgers' schedule, their losses have been mainly blowouts. Notre Dame, Notre Dame scored 41. Michigan scored 38. So it's more apparent than ever that we need to focus on the defense aspect of the Badgers, because that's what they're best at.
And something, I mean, you talked about the two blowout games between Notre Dame and Michigan. I don't put the Notre Dame blowout loss on the defense at all. They put themselves in a position to win. The 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter and scoring 31 points in the fourth quarter. You're not going to win a lot of games if you do that. So, I mean, the defense has played well enough to keep them in any game that they've played so far. And I think, we talked about Graham Mertz's success. He's played ranked teams 6 times, and he's 0-6. Now he has a chance. 2 back-to-back teams. Purdue is ranked number 25. They had just had a nice win over Iowa in Iowa City. And then Iowa comes to town in Madison at Camp Randall. So it should be a nice stretch that,
if they win those 2 games, I definitely think they can go far. But they have to focus. They just have to hunker down and focus on those 2 games and just try and come out with those would be huge wins.
That'd be massive. I mean, you go from maybe you're not going to get to the college football playoff, but you're going to maybe go from a Outback Bowl to, if you win out, you can maybe go to a nicer Fiesta Bowl or whatever.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Aaron Rodgers is now 22-5 in his career against the Chicago Bears. With Sunday's 24-14 victory, the Green Bay Packers have now won 5 in a row and put themselves in control of the NFC North. Ashton, you and I both kind of wrote the Packers off after that rout to the Saints. What have they done to turn it around?
What have they done? It's Aaron Rodgers. I've been saying this, and I've been saying this the entire season. It's Aaron Rodgers, and he's the reason why the Packers are doing as well as they are. Their defense is injured. They have a ton of injuries right now. They're being hit by that injury bug hard. But because of Aaron Rodgers and because of the offense, just because of pure genius that he has on the field, he's able to keep the Packers in this game and have them win and have just the team be in the match. Because look at that Bears defense. That Bears defense is incredible. Khalil Mack, Quinn, they're incredible players.
Roquan Smith as well,
Roquan Smith. All incredible players, but Aaron Rodgers was able to maneuver all over the place and just run around this Bears offense, or Bears defense, I should say, sorry. And something that Aaron Rodgers is always known to do is beat the Bears. I saw this thing online that I thought was very funny. And it said that the Bears could go 15-2, and the Packers could go 2-15, and the Packers would still find a way to sweep the Bears this season.
Yeah.
They've always, Aaron Rodgers, and I think there was an excellent comment made before the game on, I think it was ESPN, NFL Countdown, that says, it's that time of season, it's the Halloween season. And instead of the boogeyman in Chicago, the boogeyman's Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, without question. Without question. I mean, I was watching some preseason NBA action. The Chicago Bulls, one of their things to hype the crowd up, to boo for the opposing team, was to put the Packers thing on there.
Are you? Wait, I didn't know this.
And
do they actually?
They did do that.
Wow.
And Bears wide receiver Daryl Mooney, I believe, corrected somebody saying it was the Bears-Packers rivalry, not the Packers-Bears. And I think, needless to say, they kind of shut those doubters up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I did see that the Bears talked a lot of smack. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I did hear about it. And then they were able to, shut them up a little bit, figure out who's still on top in the division.
Without question. And I know they play Washington this upcoming week, and Washington is a beat-up team. I mean, last year they won the NFC East, and they had a really strong defense that really kept them in the game against the Buccaneers in the playoffs, but they have not been what they had last year. If I'm a Packers fan, this is the game before the Chiefs. You want to see your offense clicking to be able to go into Arrowhead and play the Chiefs.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. And, there's something else about And talking about that Washington team real quick, I was actually really excited to see what that team was going to do this year. Watching that NFL wildcard game against the Bucs was actually really, really fun. Like surprisingly, really enjoyable. Taylor Heineke was explosive. We haven't seen anything like that from Washington in a long time. So I was excited for Washington coming into the season. They've underperformed. I felt pretty sad about that. But I think now, hopefully it's going to be a nice win for them. 6-1, maintain that firm control of the top team in the NFC North, and the Chiefs have been uncharacteristically sloppy this season.
Without question.
Mahomes has thrown 7 interceptions, and that's unheard of for Mahomes.
No, without question. I mean, that has to be close to his total of interceptions from the past 2 seasons combined.
Yep, and I think the matchup in Arrowhead is going to be an offensive shootout. As you mentioned, as we both mentioned before, the Green Bay defense is not great this season. It's injured, it's not doing well, and overall, it's just not the greatest. It's been fine, but it's not the peak.
It's not going to win you a game.
Exactly, it's not going to win you a championship. Honestly, that's not a defense that wins you a championship. So I definitely think that the game's going to be an offensive shootout. It's going to be a very, very high-scoring game, like a lot of games in the NFL have been, because of course offense is king nowadays. But what the Packers need to do to maintain Super Bowl contention is the fact that Aaron Rodgers needs to care still. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't care, we're going to lose. I'm going to say that outright, and I've been saying that the entire season. But something else is that we need to get our defense back. Whether it be from injury or other people just stepping up, we need to get a better defense.
Yeah, that's without question.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for today's episode. You can catch us here again next week. And as always, we want to thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time.